and helping people. You can't ever get tired of helping people.
Hello, everyone. This is James Harper, and welcome to this week's episode of the Real Estate Halftime Show. We have some exciting information that we're going to share with you today, all about new construction, how you can navigate your way through a builder contract if you're represented or especially if you're unrepresented. So stay tuned. Welcome to this week's episode. We're live here at the secret headquarters in Hendersonville, Tennessee. The Real Estate Halftime Show coming at you now.
It's time for the Real Estate Halftime Show. Sit back, relax, and listen to Nashville's premier inside scoop to real estate with the mortgage extraordinaire himself, James Harper.
Welcome back. This week we have in the studio a very dear friend of mine, and I've been trying to get her on the show for a while, and she's just been resisting, and I finally won her over. She decided to come on the show, but she has some exciting stuff to share. She also has some new beginnings, new chapters coming her way, and she's going to share some of that today. But welcome to the show, Jessica Sullivan.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, finally.
Well, thanks. You know, it's still kind of busy out there.
It is. So, even though the rates are up, it's still busy. People are still buying homes.
They are still buying homes, and they are still moving to Nashville. So,
and we have that to be thankful for. I mean, Nashville is still a growing, big-time city coming on the grid, and so there's lots of opportunities because of that.
And you got to keep looking for the opportunities because they were knocking before. Now you got to look for them. And
we say this on the show too: if you don't know how to hunt today, you're in trouble. You're going to starve. Yeah. So you are a lioness in the real estate business, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we dive in, we always want to know on the Real Estate Halftime Show why you got in the business, how you got in the business. So tell us your story. First of all, a little bit of narrative is you basically got in the business in 2008, right? When you moved here to Sumner County. Is that incorrect? Okay, well, tell us.
I moved here in 2008, and I got into real estate in 2014.
14. Okay, I got my numbers
wrong.
That's
okay. I was in direct sales when I moved here, so that was exciting. I always wanted to stay at home and raise my kids, but yet be independent, make money. So I did that for 17 years. I drove a pink Cadillac, 3 of them.
And that is, tell me,
Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Yep.
I was trying to guess it.
I started that when I was 19 and earned my Cadillac the first year in the business. So that was exciting. It looked silly with a 19-year-old driving a pink Cadillac, but as a symbol of success, it was awesome. My husband used to say, guys would be like, "You're driving that pink Cadillac?" And he'd say, "Well, yeah, what color is the Cadillac your wife drives?"
Exactly. I love that.
So, just a little tidbit. But so got into that. It's a
Are they
people
still
business.
Around?
Of course.
It's still around.
Yes,
so you can still get
around.
pink Cadillacs? Mm-hmm. Really? Yeah. I've never seen one around here.
There's a couple still.
Really?
Around here, there's like 3 or 4.
So is that still kind of their trademark that they... Okay.
It's not a free Cadillac.
It's not free.
"Oh, you get a free Cadillac." No, it's not free.
Okay.
You work real hard for it. But anyways, once the kids were older, I just decided that I was going to go into real estate. When I was younger, I nannied for one of the founders of Kai's Realty, Mike Pappas, down in Miami. And he always said, "You'd be really good at this." And okay, yeah, great. And then when 2008-9 happened, I was still selling cosmetics, which, lipstick, tobacco, and alcohol in a recession never go away. So that was great then in the real estate world. And then in 2014, I got my real estate license.
So what made you want to transition away from Mary Kay? What did you want to do differently, or what all of a sudden didn't you like about what you were doing?
Well,
I mean, obviously you were achieving great success in sales. You had all these accolades in a particular lane, and then all of a sudden you want to kind of shift lanes.
Well, I would say the business perspective of it, when I was in Miami, it was more of a business that women started. They would start and they'd go gung ho. I recruited several top women who are still in the company. So that's nice, to still kind of see those checks coming in. But at the end of the day, when I moved here, it was more of a hobby mentality that women had. And so it just wasn't as lucrative here in Tennessee.
And you moved here to Tennessee for what reason?
Ugh, I followed a boy.
Followed a boy. We've heard that before. We followed a boy,
but
not a man, but a boy
of my dreams, the man of my dreams. As a result, and you gotta love Tennessee. The housing was less inexpensive. The schools were better. It was just, my kids loved it. My kids are all thriving here now that they're adults and married, and I just became a grandma.
Well, congratulations.
Did you know that?
I think I did. I did see that.
So that's exciting. When I got into real estate, I was just at a point in my life where I was like, I got to do something different. So I was burned out, and I was completely burned out. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll get into real estate. Did that. It's a hard market when you don't know anybody. There's people that say, oh, I want to get into real estate. It's so easy. Well, no, you gotta know people. And at that point in my real estate career, I didn't know a lot of people. I was talking to it, and I'm always about following, signs that God has for you and walking through those doors. And so got my real estate license. I was talking to the man on the other line at the Tennessee Real Estate Commission, and he said, sell communities, not homes. And I said, huh. So I got my foot in the door. Again, God just opened doors, got my foot in the door and started at Ryan Homes. And I loved it. The training, everything was
let's talk
incredible.
about that for a quick second. Because I'm always passionate about when God opens doors and you can just easily, go through them. It's when you have that pushback, that resistance, when doors are trying to shut, that you need to really listen to what's going on in your ego or whatever that may be. And so what made you feel like this was an effortless transition, where you felt like, oh my God, this door is opening for a reason and I just need to, go through it?
Well, I was broke and broken. And so I was just like, there's got to be something else, that God can use my love of people,
your ability to sell,
my ability to sell, my negotiation skills, just all of it. So that fueled me. So I said, I'm going to go get my license. And actually, my ex-mother-in-law paid for me to go get my license. She said, you need to do this. And so that, again, was just a way that God opened doors. And it was so fun being able to pay her back and then some, down the line, just said, thank you, because you changed the trajectory of my life. And just been passionate about it ever since. And
so when you got in the business in 2014, it was a pretty decent time to get in. Not when I got in the business in 2008. It sucked. But like yourself, I was just so passionate and wanting to do something different than engineering. I thought this was the greatest business to be in of all time. I had freedom to do what I wanted. I had flexibility. I had the ability to make unlimited income. If I worked harder, I made more money, mentality. So, but in 2014, business was pretty good. Rates were pretty good then. And so multi-level marketing, I think, breeds some very, very, very good salespeople. I mean, because that's a hard business. If you're doing it from the ground floor up, I've tried several of them, all the way from selling long distance phone service to health stuff and whatever. So
it'll build your skin thick.
It will. And so when I got in the mortgage business after trying these multi-level marketing businesses, I mean, I've been told no a lot, right? And so I'm sure.
No means next.
Yeah, don't get your feelings hurt.
No. Okay, next.
Yeah.
Someone's waiting.
Someone's some waiting. Won't.
Some
so
will.
What?
So what?
Yeah, so
yep.
What? I love that.
But.
All right. So you basically got into this business, and what next?
Well, I got into new construction, loved it. The training was amazing that the builders provided. And I got to learn contracts, and I got to, just reinvent myself, in this new market. Same thing, it's a people business. Everything that we do is a people business. People want to be taken care of. They want community. They want to know you care. And so sitting on the other side of the desk as a builder's agent, I learned a lot of things. I learned from a lot of agents what not to do if I ever got into, the real estate, residential real estate side of it. After I became a single mom, we decided that we were going to build a house. And so I was the client. Mm-hmm. And I had just gotten my real estate license, and I saw the girl on the other side of the desk, and I was like, she's really good at what she does. And then, of course, I was like, I could do it better probably, because, you always have that competitive nature. So I thought if I could sit on that side of the desk and do what she does, this is going to be awesome, and then learn from building a house and all the things that go with it, from the stress, the anxiety, picking out your options, blueprints, learning all of that, and being like, I want to help people, and be able to do that. So that was a big, and take the stress away. So that was a big also factor that moved me in that direction of new construction.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that insight. That was wonderful to hear some of the background about how you got into the business. All right. So you worked for basically 2 national builders. And how long did you work for those 2 builders collectively?
9 years.
9 years. Mm-hmm. So you saw a thing or two, heard a thing or two, learned a thing or two about new construction. Obviously, in the business that I'm in, I'm kind of anti-new construction just because I lose a lot of pre-qualified buyers that end up going to a builder that have basically, especially national builders, that have some kind of an internal lender and or joint venture of some kind where there's incentives to go with this national builder. And those incentives are strong enough that a lot of times, especially the national builders, will not honor that same incentive if they go to a lender outside of their network.
That's that carrot they dangle.
Yes.
The carrot dangling wrapped in a bow.
And if we get anything, or if our listeners are watching, that pisses me off. But you can call it steering. You can call it persuasive techniques, persuasion. But it happens, and it is part of what's real out there. And with you being on that side of the coin, I'm sure you've had lots of conversations with borrowers that would like to stay with their current lender. You've also had to maybe fight or be a negotiator between the buyer wanting to buy a new construction home and being kind of persuaded to get this incentive. They don't want to do it because they want to stay with who they like and trust. But yet you want a home sale. Boy, that sounds like a lot. Mm-hmm. So you are also a psychologist. Mm-hmm. So talk us through a little example of how that has worked and why that's so important with, what you do as a real estate agent.
Okay. So
there's a lot
I'm
packed into that.
I'm going to just talk through this.
Yes.
And then you can,
Yes.
So being on this side of the desk.
All right. We're on this side. We're on the builder side of the desk.
Working for the builder. Okay?
Yes.
It gets down to the end. Let's say there's no agent there. Okay. So that's that scenario. We're on this side of the desk. We get ready to sign the papers. I talk about, have you guys spoken with a lender before? No, we haven't. Okay, great. We can go ahead and we can get you, pre-qualified today. Here's the link. We'd turn the iPad around. They'd fill out the link. Okay.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Great. Now, I personally said this. Now, listen, this is the biggest purchase you're going to make. In my conscience, I want you to reach out to a lender, okay, and see what the deal is. So that way, either we're giving you the best deal possible, or you can come back and then we can renegotiate. All right. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be the one responsible for
pushing
and saying, use ours. Now, I understand from a builder's perspective, we had a lot of people come in that weren't represented by an agent who got something offline that said, oh, look, I can afford a $500,000 house. Well, I'm not going to put them under contract, take my house off the market, because I also want to protect the builder and myself as the salesperson and taking my inventory off because they got a letter that doesn't mean,
pixie
anything.
Dust.
Yeah. So there's that side where, then we have to, work through all of that. So that is why when you go into a builder, they're very adamant about, you have to fill this out before we can take this house off the market and you can move forward. That's fair.
It's fair.
Right?
I agree with that.
Now, this is where we saw problems, is that a client would come in and they would have an agent who had a relationship with a lender, okay? And they would say, my client
AKA
is
James Harper.
not filling this application out because, the agent wasn't as educated typically, and would say, because it's going to ding their credit again. And now you have a client that's freaking out. And then I'm sitting here on this side going, wait, that's not the case. And then, so that can get sticky. So I feel like there needs to be education there on what this process actually looks like for the client to say, hey, you know what? Go ahead and fill this out for the builder. We'll go ahead and talk to James, who's already pre-qualified you. And then you guys work that out. A lot of builders, we'll still honor that. If you can negotiate and talk to them and you can say, hey, will you do this? I know several builders right now that are giving and honoring that same incentive with an outside lender, So, but it's just knowledge. And I think it's just everybody working together and just asking the builder, right now, what is the best that we can do for these clients? If the best is for them, if they can't do it, then send them to an outside lender.
So we're going to have an interjection and an interlude here. And I'm going to look straight in the camera here and say, it does not ding your credit if you get another hard pull within a reasonable time frame of shopping for a mortgage. Reasonable means if you're shopping for a mortgage today and you get your credit pulled in 2 weeks, we're going to get the same score. 3 weeks, probably going to get the same score. If you wait 3 months, that's a different situation. And even if you get a credit pull, another hard pull, doesn't mean it's going to just drop your score. It might be a point or two. It's not going to be 10 or 20 like most people think. So if you're listening out there, please pay attention that a hard mortgage pull for a mortgage pull is okay. And getting a second one or a third one within a short period of time is okay.
And explain, how is that different than if they were to go to Best Buy or the furniture store
or a car
or a diamond ring? Okay. I've had clients who are just like, oh, well, I didn't know that. They couldn't buy a house now because he was going to propose to his fiance or his girlfriend, and now they can't get a house. So explain how that is also different.
Well, I mean, if you go to buy an automobile, immediately when you take application, they're farming that out to 5 to 7 investors right away. They're all pulling your credit right then and right there. You think you're just going into CarMax, or not to call CarMax out, but you think you're just going into CarMax, and CarMax is the lender. CarMax is farming your information out immediately, and you're getting that many pulls. And guess what? They're all getting the same credit score. Now, when you see your credit score drop, or could potentially see it drop, is if you're applying for a car loan today, a house tomorrow, a credit card the next day, different types of trades. That's when you could see an impact of the inquiries across, because you're doing different trades versus just a singular mortgage pull.
Right.
So,
and I feel like
that's your education for today on the Real Estate Halftime Show.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's people think they know and they don't, and I don't want that to stop them, especially when they're looking for homes, and they want to know their buying power. It's so important for you to have that education so that way you can make the best decision.
All right. So we have someone sitting across from you.
Yep.
And you have this this back and forth about credit pulls. Mm-hmm. And hey, I've already been pre-qualified with this lender, James Harper, and he's a really great guy. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, I know
he's a good guy. I know him.
And he really knows what he's doing. Why do I want to go get pre-qualified with somebody I don't know? Oh, well, there's this carrot here of $10,000 closing costs incentive if you get pre-qualified with ABC lender. Mm-hmm. And so how's that conversation go? And what have you done in the past to help mitigate that?
Well, I know the builders that I worked for, it was required. So if you wanted to move forward, you did it or you found another house, So I just said, listen, this is the biggest purchase that you're going to make, and shop around, see who can give you the best deal, which that's pretty good advice, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you have something to go off of. So when they bring you the
pre-qualification letter.
Sheet, the loan worksheet.
Loan estimate?
The loan estimate. So when they bring you the loan estimate, then you can look on there and you can say, hey, now you have an opportunity to educate them and say, this is where that money's coming from. This is where it's, being pulled out of. This is what they're telling you. So yes, that $15,000 they're going to give you is really all built into right here.
Yes.
And then it's going to give you an opportunity to educate them and show them that this carrot really is rotten, or it may not be. It may be great,
So to finish up this particular topic here, so out of 10 people that walk through a new construction home process, how many out of that 10 were actually being captured by the lender of the in-house lender versus one that actually was able to stay with their current lender and get the same incentive or didn't use the incentive at all? So what do we think?
I have no idea. I think it really depended on the incentives that were going on at the time. I think it would depend on also if they were represented or unrepresented by an agent. I think that there's going to be a little bit more of a better deal if you have an agent that knows how to, navigate through this process as opposed to just saying, oh, well, that's too much work or, I think that would make a difference.
That's a very good point.
People, that we saw business, that was easier to keep in-house. But, remember, 80% of people who walk through a model home door are unrepresented. And that's a big number.
That is I didn't know that. That is a big number.
So, a lot of the people that we worked with did not have any representation. So there's a huge market there that needs to be captured.
Wow. What do you think that is?
Marketing. Just
marketing of the builder or, yeah.
Yep, that's where the money goes. It goes into the marketing. And that's why I think a lot of builders, some builders don't pay the agents as much because, the outside agents.
They're driving traffic.
They're driving traffic.
Spending money to drive traffic.
Yep.
Well, that's good information. All right. And so moving on to our next topic that we really want to talk about, basically why you made the transition from new construction now to where you're at today. And what do you see going on in the next 2 to 3 years in real estate as you are kind of transitioning from this new construction chapter to the Jessica Sullivan chapter? And like one of the words that I see from your bio is a fierce negotiator. So I want to hear more about that, the word fierce. I love that. Sounds intense, sounds strong, sounds fiery, sounds professional when it comes to being on your side and being on your team. So share with us, you wake up one day and say, uh-oh, I've been doing this for 9 years. I want to do something different. What was that next door that you felt like you needed to go through?
Well, I think growth is definitely, we're always growing and we always want to do something bigger with where we're at. And I feel like I'd learned everything that I could learn, and you're always learning and you're always growing. But I think when you hit the pinnacle of where you're at, you say, what more, and being in a relationship business, like a real estate agent, is you develop relationships. And one of the things I was most passionate about in new construction was, you get to spend a lot of time with your clients. So they walk through the door, they sign a contract, they pick out their selections, we work through everything. Yeah. And then you get to see them move into their home, but you're still in the community. So then you get to see them have children and get married and buy new cars and, all the things that you're invested in.
You see it evolve.
You see it evolve. Mm-hmm. So you go from dirt to a dream, for people.
Dirt to a dream. That's a good it. Dirt to a dream.
Dirt to a dream. I sell dirt in a dream.
All right. So, all right, Simpkins, you got it.
So, but seriously, you see it go from that to this beautiful thing with clients. And then 3 years comes, what's the average time that people stay in a house? 5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 years.
So, 4.5 years rolls around and they're, coming to the model and saying, hey, can you help us buy our next house? Mm-hmm. Well, working for a builder, I wasn't able to do that. I worked for the builder. So, once those clients who had already had an experience with me came back and wanted me to help them again, which was such an honor, I couldn't, and so again, just got opening doors, that referral and that repeat business, once, there was enough clients coming back around and saying, hey, can you help us again? I knew it was time to make that jump into general real estate.
And so that does bring me to the next question, because I was already thinking about it. I mean, that has to be to some people could be a tough transition, obviously, with your background in being in sales and marketing and working in multi-level marketing. That's not a big deal probably for somebody like you, but for some people, transitioning from something that's very comfortable, and that is not having to go hunt, really.
No.
In new construction, let's just be frank about it. I mean, you have people.
We ate very well.
Yeah,
we're order takers.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You walk into a model home and you take an order, but yet you still have a process of getting them to the finish line. Now you're in way more of a hunting mode, and you rely on those referrals and you rely on that past client database. What was your first kind of step as you branched into this new beginning, and did it scare you?
Well, change is always scary, but it can either be scary and, and when I was with Mary Kay, we used to use this analogy. It's like butterflies are good. You just have to get them to fly in formation, and if you can get all of those things that you're scared about, or the fear of change or the fear of failure or there's so many fears that you could, get stuck on. But I think just being confident in who you are and the gifts that God's given you, and just walking in those every single day, it was all new processes I had to learn, and the hunt, but you hunt when you're hungry. Mm-hmm. And when you're stopped, when the hunger pains stop is when I think we become complacent. And I always try to stay hungry and helping people. You can't ever get tired of helping people.
Being comfortable with being uncomfortable is a good feeling, sometimes to push.
Well, right now, I cannot, this is where I get passionate and I get so, negativity is disgusting to me, mm-hmm. And in the market that we're in, is it what it was? No. Will it ever be what it was? Well, the good comes with the bad. We were in a pandemic, so there were bad things that happened to that, but in the real estate market, it was amazing. So this period that we're in right now, I think if you want a harvest, okay, you need to plant and you need to prepare. So, I know you were talking about what does the future hold? Well, right now I'm investing money in marketing, in clients, in all the things. So that way when 2025, 6 and 27 come around, I'm going to be harvesting. I'm not going to be working
Right.
then. And you see that mentality of so many people in the mortgage business and in the real estate business who right now, they'd rather sit around and complain and say, oh yeah, business is so slow. And you see those mortgage rates and this and that. Well, ew. People are still buying houses and they're still moving here. Don't get that on me.
She did say ooh. Ooh.
It's true. You see it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, am I uncomfortable? I feel like yes, I'm uncomfortable. Okay. But use that to propel, to propel you forward to success, and it's hard to be scared when you're serving other people.
Yeah.
So if you can just, and referrals, talking to people, investing in people, maybe when the market's not so hot like it was, instead of sitting around in your sorrows and your woes because your business wasn't what it used to be, well, so what can you control about it?
All right. So today,
tell me.
I sent this to my team,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, I'm going to put my glasses on because it kind of
hear it.
Advice from your fearless leader.
Mm-hmm. That's you.
Just keep the ball moving. Nobody scores in a game if the ball isn't moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so really all that means is just keep the traction happening,
yes.
right? Just keep your text going, keep your communication going, keep your marketing going, keep everything going. Even if the rates aren't where we want them, people are still going to buy. People are still going to make buying decisions. And so I had this conversation yesterday with a client, and I'd like you to elaborate on it, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. I think now's an awesome time to buy. And I'll say this because, and you would probably attest, about every contract coming in has some kind of a seller concession to it.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? And what's going to change if rates come down? Tell me.
Right. Well, you have more power right now to negotiate that, So either you're going to be up here with a lower rate or you're going to be, higher incentive, higher rate, but you're not married to this interest rate. I don't understand what what do you say? Get the house. What is it? What's that new thing? Marry or date the rate, marry the house, date the rate or something like that.
Yeah.
There's, refinance down the road. All three of my children are homeowners, which I'm very proud about. And, my son purchased his home when the interest rates were very low. And my daughter purchased her home with her husband when interest rates were very high. And I think our interest rate was like a 6.9, 7.1 something, first time home buyers. But, they're just like, is this the right time? I said, yeah, it's the right time to buy a house. You're making an investment in your future, refinance later, but it's better than throwing $2,000, $2,500 away a month now, And so I can attest from both sides. But every instance I said, get the house,
Well, I think what will happen, the phenomenon that will happen is right now we have a very buyer-centric market where, as I said, every contract coming in has some kind of a seller concession. We need more buyers, right? Inventory, I don't know. You probably know better than me if it's low or high, but it's definitely not high. We don't have a high
I think we're
inventory.
Middle of the road right now.
Probably middle of the road. Okay, that's fair. But what happens if those rates just happen to get in the high fives, which they did for just a very brief moment,
little blip,
and now they're back up to high sixes? So if those happen to get down in the high fives again, there's going to be an absolute frenzy of buyers that hit the market.
Yep. And then you're going to be in where we were.
And you're going to be in where we were, where we have this overbidding. So a $400,000 house maybe now costs $420,000. The seller concessions are gone, but yet, hey, we got a low rate. Would you rather have that house bought at $400,000 with a $10,000 closing cost incentive with a 6.5% rate or 6.75%, so that you get that house and you get that $10,000 and you get that $400,000 price tag? Or do you want to go $420,000, get nothing, maybe not even get that house if there's a lot of overbidding,
right?
Which will happen. So that's the conversation I try to, hopefully if there's anything from this segment you can take away if you're a listener and looking to buy, is that get
Well,
this,
and you put
get the house now. It's still, you can still get in before Christmas.
Right. No, you can. Well, and the thing is too, is you put yourself in a position where it gives you no freedom later. So, if you got to sell later or your job changes in a year or 2 years, now you've lost money because you're trying to sell a house that you overpaid $150,000 for. And that's what I'm stuck with right now is selling houses that people overpaid for and just trying to reel all of it back in.
Would that be back in
2019 or 2021?
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, I remember back in 2020, I mean, there were a few of them that paid $50,000 over asking price on a $400,000 or $500,000 home. Mm-hmm. I mean, that just doesn't recover that quickly. I mean, yeah, we have great appreciation here in Nashville, but not that great. Well, it's not New York.
No. And two,
Miami.
You got to also think
where sister's from.
Yeah. You got to think people, though, either they're going to buy a house or they're not, and I think a lot of fear sneaks in the way, whether the interest rate is low or whether it's high. There's deeper fears there because I remember when we were selling houses in Goodlettsville, new construction for $229,000. And we were like, this is way too expensive. We could never sell these. Okay. And then, people coming in and then the market's going like this. And I'm saying, sign on the dotted line and buy the house. Oh, I just don't know. She's getting
fierce. She's getting fierce over here.
And I'm like, trust me, buy the home. And now them coming back 4 years later, they're still not homeowners. Now they can't afford a house. So, the woulda, shoulda, coulda. Don't be a woulda, shoulda, coulda now in 5 years from now when you look back because, prices are still going to go up. We're growing,
man.
It just gets me.
I'm a numbers guy. So the cost of waiting on that example is incredible. Mm-hmm. The cost of waiting 4 years later, rent, whatever equity.
Yep.
Whatever equity gain you've lost. I mean, it's just a huge, huge number that would scare most people. And they're like, I should have listened to Jessica.
Well, yeah. And it's educating. And I love that. And I love, first-time home buyers as well to say, hey, here's the numbers. People don't just want to be told what to do. They want to understand why they should do that thing. So educating them from start to finish on what this whole process looks like is very important to me because then they're making an empowered decision, to say, hey, this is great, and so it's not, a sales thing. It's I want you to be the beneficiary of the amazing thing called being a homeowner. People's wealth is found in their real estate. So that's always a good time to invest.
Well, that is a way we need to segue a finish to the show. And so Jessica would love to help educate you on the next step of your home buying process. And how do they get a hold of you, Jessica? How do they reach out to you if they want to learn more about your fierce negotiation skills and also wanting to purchase their next home or sell their next home? How do they get a hold of you?
You can reach me on my cell phone at 615-428-2770, or you can email me.
Okay.
J.A. Sullivan Sells Nashville. I know it's completely long, but you'll remember it. J.A. Sullivan Sells Nashville.
And what about social media? Are you on Instagram?
Yes. Jessica A. Sullivan Real Estate.
Perfect.
And then Jessica Sullivan Real Estate on Facebook.
Well, thank you so much, young lady, for being on the show. It's been a blast, and you'll have to come back, and we will talk about more in-depth stuff. I mean, it's so easy to talk with you anyway.
Oh, well, thank you.
And thanks for being on the show.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. See ya.
Bye-bye.